What does a conductor do? Who am I to answer this? I probably shouldn't really. The amount of things I have yet to learn about this world is staggering. But as always, this channel is here to offer a point of view. You don't have to like that point of view, but I'd much rather offer one than have a completely sterilized, neutral opinion on everything. So let's talk about conducting. Some people think conductors, I know a lot of sort of lay people, as in people who aren't in the world of classical music, think that conductors are principally time beaters. They're here to keep everything absolutely together all the time, make sure everyone's in line, make sure everyone can follow them. I think that's wrong, but sometimes right. There are also comments I see on YouTube sometimes saying the orchestra is so behind the conductor. Why aren't they following the conductor? Or this conductor's so bad they're not sort of keeping up with the orchestra. Why isn't the orchestra beat? Why isn't the conductor beating with the orchestra? This is so confusing. Um, One of my favorite videos for this is Daniel Barenboim conducting Nimrod by Elgar from his Enigma Variations. The orchestra is really behind his beat, and people say they should follow him. But this is wrong too. The conductor's job changes depending on who he or she is working with. My first point of reference for conducting is think of a director in the theatre. Say a director has to direct a version of Hamlet, Shakespeare's Hamlet. The director needs a vision. Plays cannot be directed by committee. We can't have every single person in the cast adding bits to the direction and doing their own thing. It's much better to have one person's vision and one person to block everything, create an overall connected vision. In a similar kind of way, an 80-person orchestra cannot all have 80 different ideas about how the piece can go. It's much more powerful to have one person's vision directing, unifying this great piece of music and this 80 or 100-person orchestra. One thing I would add to that is that there are a million different ways of doing Hamlet. If every single performance of Hamlet was the same, that would make for a very boring world. And in the same way, there are a million different ways of doing a Beethoven symphony or a Mahler symphony or whatever. And so that's where the director's job comes into play. It's their job to interpret the script or the score and find something new or find something different or unique to bring out their own interpretation. Not only is the conductor a director, but they're also a mixer, as in a sort of sound mixer. It's their job to balance everything. They are probably the only pair of ears in the room until the audience comes who can hear everything. When you're playing the flute or the violin, you can mainly hear your own instrument. The conductor is there to hear everything, to say, brass, you're too loud, percussion, little more of you, more flutes, less violins, whatever. They are there to balance and mix everything, as well as direct, create, and help to show this vision of how the piece should go.
Deswegen haben Sie keine Kontakt, Sie hören die Flöte nicht. Eben. Was ich Sie bitte, ist an der Stelle Griffbrett zu spielen. Warum? Dadurch, dass Sie Griffbrett spielen, sind die Obertöne weg. Man hört die Flöte in Ihren Klang herein. Spielen Sie das einmal bitte. Und hören Sie jetzt einmal, was die Flöte spielt. The conductor can also be a time beater or leader. I mean, essentially they are. They set a tempo, they lead the orchestra or the choir, they push things on. Sometimes the orchestra need that. For example, a school orchestra, say a middle school orchestra, might not be able to just do it on their own and they might need someone to follow very closely. Or say something very complex like Stravinsky's Rite of Spring or Symphonies of Winds, where the time signature and the tempo is changing all the time. And the orchestra, they're playing like crazy and they just need to be able to look up, see exactly where I am at any point in the piece of music. Then yes, the conductor needs to be a time beater because the players just need to see, there I am, and then look straight back down at their music again. But there's a caveat to this sort of time beating thing. When you're working with a more professional group or with a group of excellent listeners, and I think listening is the key skill here, when you're with a group like this, you don't really need a conductor.
You can play the Beethoven or the Mozart symphony, or you can sing this piece of choral music, or even something more complex than Beethoven or Mozart with no conductor. Players begin to lead themselves. When they become good listeners and when they become experienced with playing in ensembles, they lead themselves. You might notice in this video clip how the wind players move, how they're leading each other. So you can see that they don't need a conductor to lead them. They can lead themselves as an ensemble, as a group. And when an ensemble reaches this stage, it's able to do this extremely well. And then at that point, having a conductor try to lead them forcefully actually inhibits and restricts their flow and their natural musicianship. Having someone going, every beat must be here in this Mozart symphony, actually holds them up and makes them unable to do what they want to do together as an ensemble. It's not just 50 people following one person, it's 50 people working together to create this piece of music. So instead, at this point, the conductor can start letting them be free, allowing them to be musicians, whilst still providing an overall shape to the music, still helping out with the overall journey of whatever the piece of music is doing, and helping with their vision of the thing. But they don't need to control every single beat. They don't need to be a time beater anymore. They can let the musicians free while still controlling the general sort of shape, flow, phraseology of the piece of music. I was fortunate enough to be in a group like this in England, where the conductor was perfectly capable of beating very clearly, but we were a good ensemble. We were all very good at working together, following each other, listening to each other, leading each other, and we could do whole portions of concerts completely unconducted. And so our conductor set us free, while still controlling the shape and dynamic of the music. He would set us completely free. He wouldn't force us to follow the beat unless the music was really complex. And I have to say, it was the most liberating, high-quality music making of my life. There's another thing to say about conductors when they work long-term with one ensemble. Take the difference between Herbert von Karajan with the Berlin Philharmonic versus Simon Rattle with the Berlin Philharmonic. They both spent many years working with the Berlin Phil, and they both got totally different sounds out of them. The Berlin Phil was just a different beast altogether with Karajan than it was with Simon Rattle. And that shows the long-term influence over time that one conductor can have over a group of creating, Rattle's sound or Karajan's sound. The group begins to play. They know what Rattle wants after a few years of working with him. And so they begin to play how Rattle wants it to be played, and they begin to develop a sound which is sort of Rattle sound, if that makes sense. And then guest conductors will come in and work with the Berlin Phil, but they in about a 3-hour portion that they have to rehearse with them, they can't change that sound. They'll be working with Rattle sound, and they'll be making what they can out of the Berlin Phil sound, if that makes sense. Finally, why do they all look so different? Why do so many different conductors look so different? One of my favorite videos for this is called Mahler Enthusiasm. You can find it on YouTube, and it's sort of structured from, they all play this, they're all conducting this epic ending to Mahler's Second Symphony. And it goes from the least enthusiastic conductor to the most enthusiastic conductor. Why are they all so different? They're all doing the same piece of music, the same section of music in such a different way. And it's because ultimately conducting is communicating music through body language. So the best conductors, once they've absorbed good technique, and good technique is important, they then make it their own. They use their face, their body, and their arms and everything about them as a complete vessel for communicating music. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sort of back on the scene now, hoping to make more videos like this at a more regular pace, try and make some podcasts too. If you want to support this channel and what my mission is to sort of teach and share and talk about classical music and film music too, and maybe even game music now, then you can visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/inside the score. I also take suggestion boxes and question and answer sessions where you can suggest videos and maybe I'll cover them in video and I try to answer everybody's questions. Again, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think and what your experience is with conductors. I've got a lot to learn still. Maybe you have your own unique experiences that you'd like to share. Let me know. Thanks for watching again. See you soon.